Tonight we are looking at how to insert data in our database in PHP. But before you can insert data in our database, you need a database first. So let's set up our database. Now, let's look at the structure of a database of an SQL database. So we can say, let's use a Google Docs. So a database is like a cabinet where you store data. And in that cabinet, we have drawers. When you have a cabinet, you have drawers, right? So each drawer in your database is like a table. I come again. The whole database is like a cabinet. In that cabinet, you have drawers there. Each drawer is like a table. So in each drawer now, you are going to store related data in that drawer. For instance, let's assume I'm working with a school application, or I want to build a school app. So the whole cabinet will be the school app. In that school app, I can have a section for students' data. That is a drawer. That is a table for student data. Another drawer in that cabinet. Another drawer for teachers' data. Another drawer for equipment that we have in that school. So each drawer will store related data. So the first, like I said, the first can be for students, the second for teachers, the third for equipment that we have in the school. So in each drawer now, let's assume in the first drawer where you have your students' data, you are not just going to dump the students' data inside the drawer. What you're going to do is that you create like a file. Each student will have a file, right? So, for instance, if I'm a new student in that school, I'll bring my file and I'll put all my documents inside that file. Then that file will be put inside that drawer. So, what happens is that each student's file now, that is each student's file, serve as a row in my table. I come again. Each student's file, or each file, stands like a row in my table. So let's set up a simple table here. Insert table. Okay. John Salayemi, you can ask your question.
Sorry, I don't know if you are sharing your screen. I can't really see anything from your end.
Oh, thank you. I've not started sharing, I think. That's on me. I'm sorry. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's up. You can see now.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, bro.
So let's assume this is the students table. That is a drawer that holds student information. You have first name. You have last name. Let's say you have email. Then you have password. So this is a drawer. Inside this drawer now, each student's information will be inside a file, right? So each file is like a row like this. So for the first students, I can have Taye, last name, Abidakon, email, Taye, Abidakon@gmail.com, password 1234. So this for the first. This row now is for a particular student. You can have another one for another student again. Let's say Kenny. Let's say Akombi. Let's say Kenny Akombi@gmail.com. Then let's say the password here is 087, like this. So this row now is for another student information that you have inside the student's table. So this is a table, like a drawer. You can also have another table for teachers like that, right? So that would be, you can have teachers table. So you have another table also for that, for teachers again, which is different from the students table. Any questions so far? All right. So if you want to start into teachers information, you keep it here. So let's see how we can set up this structure in our database. Put up your example. all this while we're using this first one alone, Apache. Today we're going to put on the second one also, my SQL. So let's start the second one also. So we started our database. You go to admin. So before we move on, when you have a table like this, there's a special column. There's a special column. I will still explain what keys mean. The types of keys that we have, KEYS. But for now, I want to talk about a special key. We call it the primary key. Each table must have a special key, a unique key, right, that we call the primary key. In fact, it is the most important column in your table. We will discuss it better later. So what I will do is that I will add a special column to this, and I will call it student ID. Oftentimes, the way we name the primary key is often the name of the table with ID, right? For the teacher, oftentimes you can call it teacher ID. So like I said, we still have a special section for types of keys and why this key is the most important column in your table. So we have each student must have a unique key that is called the primary key. No two students must have the same value in this column. Now, here is it. Imagine in my application, two students have the same first name and the same last name. It can be a little bit, this may be a bit confusing, right? If I say I want to fetch Taye, it may fetch the two students for me. If I say I want to fetch Apidaku, it may fetch the two students for me. Right? But this student's ID, this primary key must not be the same for two users. It must not be the same. That is, if the key for this is ABCD, this one must not be ABCD. So that tells the database that, that allows the database to perfectly handle each row. If I want to fetch this second user, I'm not going to use the first name, the last name, not even the email or the password. Instead, I will say, fetch the row that has KHGF. So, since no two rows can have that same value at that primary key at student ID, since no two rows can have that same value, it's easy to manage this now. If I want to delete, I can say delete the user with this value. So it will perfectly delete this without deleting another person's information. If I want to edit the second user's information, I will just edit or change the first name of the row that has KHGF as the student ID. Do we understand what I'm trying to explain?
Yes, sir.
If you are lost, can I see your hand? Can you raise up your hand? Okay, that's my money. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that no two rows must have the same value at their primary key, right? So because of that, because of the sensitivity, we don't leave it to the users to supply. Because if you leave it to the users to supply, there's high chance that, of course, you may not know what other users have supplied. So you might mistakenly supply what another person has supplied. So what we do is that the system, we leave it to the system to generate the primary key. The system itself, we handle it and ensure that no two rows have the same value here. So let's go back now and set up our database. To create a database, how did we get there? This is it. Come here, click on admin, open your XAMPP, start MySQL, click on admin. When you click on admin, it will take you here. Click on new. When I click on new, you are creating a new database, right? So let's assume I want to create a new database for my school. So I'll click on create. So the database has been created. In my database, remember I said you can have different tables. So I want to create this first table. For now, we are not dealing with the teacher's table. I only want us to create this table. So how many columns do we have here? Hello? Are you with me? Please, how many columns do we have in this table?
5.
5. Thank you so much. 5.
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
3 rows.
Yeah, thank you. So you come here and you make it 5 because there are 5 columns in your table. You give your table in name. You can call it student table. So I can just call it students. Then you create. Let's call it students. The plural form. Then you create your table. So this table has been created. Next is you want to define the columns there. The first column is student ID. So you come here and you say student underscore ID. The second column is for the first name. You say first name. The next column is for last name. You say last name. The next column is for email. You say email. And the last is for password. You say password. Any question on that?
No question.
So we defined our columns, but we need to define the data type that we are expecting in each column. Now, for the first name, we are expecting a text, right? Usually a short text, maybe first name, maybe max, maybe 25 characters or 50 characters. Some people might have very long names, maybe 50 characters. So you select varchar, various character, varchar, various character. What is the length of the character? Maybe 50. That means I don't expect that anybody will supply a first name that is more than 50 characters. That is the essence of this length. Right. So to prepare that, okay, users can supply first name that can be as long as 50 characters, but not more. Same with your last name also, that varchar, 50 characters, depending on how long you want it to be anyway. But the more you set, the more the space it will prepare for it. Email also, something short. Password, for now, we just work with this. For now, we work with this. Let's now discuss this first one, student ID. Remember I said that the database itself will be the one to handle the primary key, the student ID. What database will do is this. When you add a new user, it will automatically put 1 here. When you add another user, it will put 2. When you add another user, it puts 3. Another user, it puts 4. So meaning that these ones are integers. So we leave this as int. For integers, you don't need to set the length. You may or you may not set the length. But for characters, for text, you set the length. So for this, you don't need to. Now, but remember, this student ID is a special key, and you are not the one that will handle it. The database will be the one to handle it. So in order to tell the database that I want you to be the one to handle it, right, you come here, under this AI, auto increment, AI, you select it, auto increment. What that means is that if the first user is 1, then auto increment it, that is the next user should be 2, then the next user should be 3, the next user should be 4. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So as soon as I checked it, you can see that it changes to primary. So I think for now, we are done with these ones for now. We still have other adjustments that we're going to make later, but I think this is a good way to start this. Right. So you can create your database. Scroll down. Sorry, you can create your table columns. So save this. When you click on save, it will create the database for you. So now we have the student table. So let's play with this. Let's add a new data to this place. If you're going to add a new data to your table, you use something we call SQL, Structured Query Language. It's a language that you use to manipulate your database. So if I want to add data, I'll come to this place, SQL, under SQL. Now I can insert, click on insert here, insert into students, blah blah blah. I will just delete some of them and explain everything. I'm coming. Okay, let's do it from scratch. Insert into, the name of our table is students. The The columns you want to insert data to is first name. Remember, you are not the one to handle the student ID. Last name, email, password. These are the columns you want to insert data to. Then you set values. These are the values you want to install. You want to insert in that. Now the first goes to the first, the second goes to the second, the third goes to the third, the fourth goes to the fourth. That is, if I put Taye here, this Taye goes to this first name. You say comma. If I put Abidakun here, Abidakun goes to this last name. Then if I put Taye Abidakun at gmail.com, so this goes to the email, then this goes to the password. So when I click on or go, there's a button here called go. Come, go. When I click on this go, it will insert it in this table. Do we understand it?
So please come again.
Yes, I do.
Okay, I guess. I'll come again now. When you check the table now, you will see that it has inserted it. Now, you notice that we didn't set the student ID. The database itself did that for us. These are the ones we set. Let's do it again. Let's add another user. You come to SQL. You say insert into, the name of your table is students table, students. Now the column you want to insert data to is first name, last name, email, password. So these are the,
can you increase this thing a bit? So
like this. Is it okay like this?
yeah, yes.
Okay. So insert into students, the name of your table. These are the columns you want to insert data to. Values, then you insert the values there. Let's say I want the first name to be Kingsley. This will be Kingsley. I want the last name to be okay. Then I want the email to be maybe Kingsley okay at gmail.com. Then I want the password to be maybe this. So when I click on go, it will insert it. So this first goes to the first, the second here goes to the second, the third here goes to this third, and the fourth here goes to the fourth. And for the student ID, the database itself will handle that. So when you check now, you click on browse, you see it's any question so far. Alright. So, but instead of doing this here, of course, you're not going to be coming here to do it. You're going to be doing that in your codes. In your code. So let's see how we can use our codes to do the same thing that we just did. So I will come here. So I think this is the one we did. So let's get a new folder for today's class. I can call it database DB class. Okay. Class. So open it in VS Code. So here we're going to create our index.html. In this, we have our form. In this form, we have inputs, label, first name, ID, first name, name, first name, file, first name. So, okay, let's break it. So last name, email, and password. Let's do that also. So this will be last name. So we say input type submit. So when the user clicks on this button, it is expected to submit it, but to where? That brings us to this place. You had your action, you can call it process.php. Then method, since you are getting password, the method should be what? Hello? Hello? Are you with me?
Yeah. That's a.
So what should the method be? Post, yes. I said that whenever you are sending sensitive data, your method should be post. So you're going to make use of a post request. You're going to make a post request to our database. Please, any question? Who doesn't understand any part of what you've done? Do you understand every part of it? You are not responding.
Yeah, I get it.
All right. Thank you. So, what you're going to do is that we create this process as PHP. And then the first is we can check the type of request. If the request method is post, then that's when you can do whatever you want to do. So we can say if, so you can say if $_server request. We looked at this in one of our previous classes. If the request method if is equal to post, then do everything we have here. Else, if it's not equal to post, you can echo invalid request method. Questions so far? So let's get the values from the user. You can say first name equals to $_post first name. Last name equals to $_post last name. Email equals to $_post email. Password. So now we have 4 variables here. Now I said it's good you trim it in case there is any. Please, who can tell me the reason for trimming?
For space, to remove space.
Thank you so much. To remove any space, any trailing or leading spaces. If there's anyone before, any space before or any space after, this is going to remove all of those spaces for us. So trim this. Trim this also. Trim this also. Okay, so we've removed all of those spaces. Next is you want to connect to your database. Now, to connect to your database, you use something called, or you get a new instance of MySQLi. This is it. We still discuss PHP classes and objects very, very well in details. But I think at this moment, what you're going to just pay attention to what you're going to do is not difficult at all. It's not difficult. just say new. This new is a keyword. New MySQLi. New MySQLi. Now you are going to put your database credentials there. This new MySQLi, it expects at least 3 values, which can be up to 4, but it expects at least 3 values. The first thing it expects is your host name. The second thing it expects is your username. The third it expects is your password. And the optional one is your database name. Let's discuss the essence of each of these. Now, host name is where is your database, where is it being hosted on. At the moment, my PHP is running on my device. My database also is also running on my device, meaning that the two of them, they are at the same location, like they are on this device, right? So in that case, our host name is localhost. Do you get it? Localhost means that on this same device. That's just what it means. My PHP is running on this device. My database is also on this device. So when I say localhost, localhost just simply means this same device. Don't go elsewhere. But let's assume my database is on, let's say, AWS. So I'm going to put the link to my AWS to the location of my database as my host name. But when you say localhost, it just simply means that your host name is at the same location as your backend, as this PHP file. Do we get this now?
No, sir, it's not clear.
Yes.
Okay, let me go again. Host name means that where is your database located? You know, we are writing this in PHP, but PHP does not know where our database is located, right? So it expects the link or the URL to where our database is located. But I want to tell PHP that my database is still on the same system, not elsewhere. So in that case, I will say localhost. Localhost means on that same device. Do you get it? Are we getting it? Are we lost? Local just means this same system. No, don't search for it elsewhere. Don't go elsewhere. So the first argument it expects is your host name. So for this case, I will say localhost. So I'm telling my PHP that my database is on my device that contains this same PHP. So it's not going anywhere. Let's look at this too. Your username. The reason these two are so important is because you cannot just connect to any database, right? Because if I can connect to any database, that would be a problem. So every database has a username and password. In fact, for this, it came with a username and password also. And the username, I think when you check using this config file or PHP it has, let me search for roots here. I'm coming. Is it this place? I can't find it, but what happened is that it actually comes with a default username and password. The default username here that came with this here is root. If you are hosting anywhere, you can, maybe you are hosting your application elsewhere, you can change the configuration. You can change your username to something else and your password to something else. Of course, your password should be something more secured. But the one that came with this XAMPP, the default username is root. So you just say root. Every database will have a username and password for security reasons. The default password for this is empty, just empty string. Just empty string. The reason I changed the double quotes to single quotes is just to be consistent with this, since I've been using single quotes. Yes, that's right. So you can use single quotes, you can use double quotes. Any of them will work, right? But the default password is an empty string. If any of this information is wrong, you will not be able to connect to your database. Lastly, the database name. So we created the database the other time. We called it school. So you come here and you set this place will be school. Because you can have more than one database. Of course, as time goes on, you see that we create multiple databases. Yeah, and but you only want to connect to one of them, at least at this moment. So that's why we are selecting skill, the database you want to connect to. Any question? Alright. So let's delete these ones. In continuation of the class, sorry, my system went off. In continuation of the class, so we have new MySQLi. Like I said, you supply the host name, the username, the password, and database name. So you're going to save this object in a variable. You can call it any name of your choice. I can call it connect equals to this. So you are saving this. This is going to return an object. You are saving that object in a variable called connect. So we can delete this now. So next is you want to make you want to make a request to your database to save this information. So you're going to say connect query. So that query, the one we used here in our database, the one here. So you're going to use it now. Copy this and paste it here inside this place. Put it in quotes, then paste. So insert into student table first name, last name, email, password. But now, in this case, you are not putting Kesley here. Oh, okay, no, what you want to do is that at the position, let's delete all of these values, everything in the values are like this. At the position of first name, you want to save this variable first name. So you come here and say $first name. So for at the position of first name, put this variable first name there. Then last name. Oops. Email. Password. So this will save it in the database. So next is just echo user saved successfully. Echo user saved successfully. Registration successful. So let's try it out and see if everything is working fine. So okay, this is still running. So on the browser, you want to go to this place, local hosts, free backend, DB class. So copy this, go to the browser, paste. Oops. So now you can save. Let's say I want to save this. Extension successful. When you go to your database now, you will see it there. It's there. Now assignment. Do that of teachers. That is, create a database for teachers, let the teachers register, then save it in your database, in that database. So just as we have students table, you create that of the teachers and save the information of the teachers there. So in the next class, there are still a lot of things that needs to be done. In the next class, you're going to improve this and make it much better. Thank you so much. If you have any question, you can ask on the group or you drop under the video.